Right, 1 June 2020, and today I want to look at how June is going to be one of the most difficult months for Nelson Chamisa since he became the MDC president. The reason is MPs are going to be made to make a choice. They're going to be forced to make a choice within this very week and going to the end of June. Many MPs, senators, and councillors are going to have to choose whether they go with Nelson Chamisa or they stay with their job in Parliament or in Senate. And for most MPs in Zimbabwe, the choice is not easy at all because most of them don't have any other job. Many of them have got commitments that they have got in terms of debts that they owe, and most of them don't know what will happen. It's not clear whether Nelson Chamisa will eventually negotiate with Thokozani Kupe, and most feel that if they make a decision now and leave their jobs, they'll end up out of their job, and Nelson Chamisa will eventually come back and negotiate with Thokozani Kupe, and they'll be left out in the wilderness. So yesterday, we already saw media reports. So that is in social media. I've not seen a video. There is a senator called Morgan Femai who came out and said he is going to have to go with Thokozani Kupe because he's got a small family, he's got a young family that he needs to feed, and he wants to serve 2 terms so that he can get his pension. So these are the kind of decisions that our MPs, senators, and councillors are being forced to make, whether to go with Nelson Chamisa and support what they see as the rightful side, or go with Thokozani Kupe and have something to eat in their houses. So if the majority of MPs, senators, and councillors decide to go with Thokozani Kupe, it's going to be a very big blow for Nelson Chamisa. He's going to be looking like someone who's been abandoned by a lot of the people around him. We also have the issue of Tendai Biti and Welshman Ngube. These two, through their political parties in the alliance, have 8 MPs. How are they going to act? Are they going to abandon their seats in Parliament? Are they going to eventually start attending Parliament? So if we see Tendai Biti starting to attend Parliament, that would be a very big sort of like loss for Nelson Chamisa, because it will mean that the support that he was getting from Tendai Biti was only verbal. So let us observe and see what Tendai Biti and his MPs do, and also what Welshman Ngube and his MPs they do in Parliament. Are they going to keep going to Parliament, or are they going to withdraw? This will be very, very interesting, and all this is going to happen within this month of June. But I want to go back and say, how did we end up in this position when Nelson Chamisa, who looked so strong going into the elections, ended up being almost exposed to ZANU-PF? ZANU-PF has bravely gone after Chamisa. We can say a lot of things, but it's clear that ZANU-PF is not feeling any threat from Chamisa or from his supporters. They don't have any fear that if anything happens to Chamisa or to his MPs or to his supporters, there will be any repercussions. So how did you get to this position where Chamisa almost became a paper tiger? He is no longer someone who is feared by ZANU-PF. They are not afraid that he's going to remove them. They can do what they want. Idi Mnangagwa has no pressure at all. How did you get to this position? We were in a similar position with Morgan Tsvangirai. Morgan Tsvangirai ended up not managing to take over, although he was very, very popular. How did this happen? And I put this to a lot of mistakes that were made by Nelson Chamisa. Nelson Chamisa, when he came in 2018, there are certain mistakes that he made, and these mistakes have led us to where we are today. So, specifically, Chamisa has made about 5 mistakes. So let me take you through the mistakes that he's made, which got us where we are today. and which threaten to make sure that he will never take over at all. The first one, which is acting very, very slowly, Chamisa has not acted quickly on any issue. So, if you remember, over the past 2 years, Chamisa and his leadership team have developed a number of documents or blueprints, but none of those have ever been implemented. So, he acts very, very slowly. He can come up with a promise to say, we'll do this and that, but none of that materializes on the ground. That is one mistake that has happened. Then, the second mistake that Chamisa has made was to fail to build structures. MDC structures are in shambles. We've talked about this in the past. As we speak right now, Douglas Ngonzora is starting to rebuild the structures. He has said this over the past few weeks. The structures were non-existent. There was a lot happening at the top, but nothing was happening on the ground. So it's very difficult to mobilize people on the ground if you don't have structures. Even if you've got a strong leadership team, if you don't have strong grassroots structures, then you have a problem. Then we have the issue of surrounding himself with friends. So Chamisa's team is made mostly of his friends, people that are very close to him. Tendai Biti, Washman Nube. There's no diversity in his leadership team. And this has been a very big problem. When the time comes to make a decision, it's very difficult for these people who are close to each other to be honest and tell each other the truth. They tend to think the same, and they tend to speak almost the same language. No one stands out and say, why don't you try this different approach? So the leadership team of the MDC has been doing the same thing over and over again, making the same mistakes over and over again. Chamisa has been promising to act over and over again, but he's never acted because his friends make him comfortable. You're doing the right thing. No one ever comes out and says, why don't you try a different approach? Right, so this has been a very difficult mistake, which Chamisa has been dealing with. That surround himself with friends, people who has his back. If anyone says something else, they go after him and they try to protect Chamisa, which is good. But in the long run, it's not good for Chamisa. Now, let's go to the issue of failing to deal with the administrative issues. That is things like registering the party, developing a constitution, all the resolutions that were done at the Gweri Congress. Most of them were not done. The constitution was supposed to be rewritten after Congress. That was not done. And these are some of the things that when people go to court, they end up losing. And people try to defend that. For example, how can a political party like the MDC Alliance, which discussed the resolutions to make changes to the constitution, be caught at this point without a constitution? It means that resolution was not taken seriously. That was not done. Those are serious administrative issues that need to have been dealt with. And these were not done. Now, let's go to dealing with the difficult issues. That is the fifth weakness and mistake that Nelson Chamisa has had. Chamisa has had an opportunity to make very difficult decisions. For example, after the elections, Chamisa went out nationally consulting the structures. What do we do? And everyone was saying, let's go for mass action. After consulting everyone in the whole country and being told that we want mass action, Chamisa came back to Harare and started talking about dialogue. It was difficult for him to make the decision to go for mass action. That is why he ended up in this position. If people had gone for mass action soon after the elections, as the grassroots were demanding, then we're not going to be in this position. We also have a similar situation. Soon after the Supreme Court ruling, Chamisa had an opportunity to discuss with Thokozani Kupe. I've said it before here. I personally was involved in some of the efforts. Chamisa was not able to make that decision to even meet Thokozani Kupe and talk to her. And now he's in a position where she now has an upper hand. Douglas Ngonzora is making inroads. And it's not clear what is going to happen, especially if the MPs decide to move with Thokozani Kupe. So we have a very difficult month coming up for Nelson Chamisa. We can blame ZANU-PF for a lot of things, but Chamisa needs to make some changes. He needs to make some very difficult decisions. Is he going to go with the MDC Alliance as a name? Is he going to change the name of the MDC to something else? But these are the issues. These are the issues that we have. Currently, even if he was to form a new political party, if he continues in this way, then it will be difficult for him to take over. And this is not what everyone wants. Everyone wants change. A lot of people support Nelson Chamisa. 2 million people and above voted for him. That's one of the biggest numbers which ever voted for an opposition party. But that is not translating to him becoming a menacing threat to ZANU-PF. In fact, ZANU-PF is not considering him at all as a threat. And that is why this month is going to be so difficult for Chamisa, because if he's abandoned by his closest friends and supporters, then where else does he have to go? Because there will be no need for by-elections if these people are still in parliament and they're on the Kupe side. If the extraordinary Congress goes on at the end of July, if it goes on successfully and elects someone else, what then for Chamisa? This is a very difficult month for Chamisa, and a lot is going to happen this month. We're going to be dealing with a lot of issues in June. Right, thank you very much for watching. If you're watching this on WhatsApp, send it to as many people as possible. If you're watching this on YouTube and Facebook, please like, comment, and share.